Boris and Rishi. In fact, hi to the entire Conservative government. We should probably talk, right?
Because recently it seemed like the arts sector has had a lot to say about you. With due reason, of course, both good and bad. On one hand, you did give us £1.57 billion, which is great, so thanks for that. But on the other hand, you did kind of tell those of us currently unemployed to retrain. So, swings and roundabouts, I guess. Except that it's not. Because, yes, you've given that money to venues and buildings and places that work as hosts for the arts, but you haven't actually given any money to artists. Or, should I say, you will be giving that money to venues. Because as of the start of this month, I'm pretty sure that most of them were yet to receive their funding. Unless we're mistaken.
That's a good, albeit concerning, point. But more concerning, at least to us freelance artists, is that you haven't yet seemed to work out that without the support for those people that make the art, those venues become a lot less useful. The National Theatre is a wonderful jewel in our cultural crown, but without anyone to make new work to perform there, it's just four walls. And that's the issue, isn't it? This pandemic is wreaking havoc in almost every aspect of our economy, but it's literally destroying artists. We can't make work if no one is allowed to go out and see it, and if we can't make work, we can't make a living. Because, just in case you didn't already know, when you tell us to retrain, what you're saying is that our chosen careers are not important enough to your government to warrant protecting, to warrant helping.
We need that support just as much as those venues, if not more. Simply put, government, you're not doing enough. We're drowning, and you're letting us.
But don't just take our word for it. We're two women sitting shouting at our cameras because we can't come and see you in person. So we thought that maybe you'll listen to a few more voices. We've got some friends of ours, artists, to tell us and you their thoughts as well. Give them a listen, because you might actually learn something.
I feel two main emotions, I think, towards the government at the minute. One hand is primal fury and rage, and the other hand is pity.
Having this almost kind of, this real utter disbelief that all of a sudden everything that I was and everything that I'd worked for and everything that had brought, whether it was on stage or on film, and it, you as a creative, you go through this process with so many other people that are all involved in doing something that makes people happy, makes them laugh, makes them cry, makes them think. And then to be told basically that you are useless.
Personally, I wasn't surprised by the government's comments. I just think it echoes the systemic underfunding that the arts have been going through for years.
So if you've ever worked in the arts, then you'll know that funding is low for all mediums of art.
This is an industry where the odds are already incredibly stacked against you.
They've projected the idea that our work is somehow less important than others, which doesn't add up considering that all of us have just gone through a national lockdown in which we all entertained ourselves with arts, theatre, TV, film, all of these things that brought us together.
They have diminished a whole community of artists to no more than a glorified hobby.
It feels quite demeaning to who we are and how much we actually contribute to life in general.
They can't see the value, and they won't see the value, and they won't put themselves in a position to be able to see that. And
it's not something I ever want to live without. And I don't think it's something that anybody should ever have to live without.
For me, if I've learned anything in 2020, it's that creative thinking and people who can think creatively are exactly what we need right now more than ever.
And that shouldn't be understated or undersold.
Artistic value is in everything, and they just think that they can knock it on the head like it's nothing. And it's not nothing, it's people's lives.
I just think that comparing that to industries like science and medicine and construction and all of those important jobs, it's just not comparable. They're not even in the same league.
For me, art is important because it lets us play out other realities. It lets us visit places we've never seen or might never see, or it is impossible to see because they are times that have long passed or places that no longer exist. And art allows us to meet people and hear their stories again in ways that we would never be able to do otherwise.
For me, art is important because I owe my life to it.
It allows you to escape from the big bad real world that is out there.
I owe my life to it in the sense that it saved me, and without it I don't know where I would be, and that's hard to admit, and it's hard to see the thing that saved you be abandoned, because that's something that I would never want it to happen to it.
No matter if it's for 20 seconds or 5 hours or 5 months, you can just get lost.
Because it starts a conversation. It provides an alternative idea and it critiques the comfortable.
Art is a cornerstone of our culture, and now more than ever we need to give people a place to escape and express themselves.
Every single person on this planet is creative in some way, shape or form, and that is why it's important that we save the industry to give these people a voice to express themselves. Those children that use art as a way of speaking.
You know, when a kid needs confidence, he's encouraged or she's encouraged to go into the arts, to do drama, to build that confidence. Even if they go on to become a lawyer or a secretary, you know, they have a confidence that's built up through drama, through the arts.
You know, some of the best classic plays and books, songs, films, art, sculptures, radio, photography, etc., all of that, that's what we're known for.
Look around you. Look around you. There is art everywhere. Everywhere.
Art fulfills our cultural and human need for socialisation.
I think even Mr. Johnson will have oil paintings in his beautiful 10 Downing Street. If he doesn't want art, take them down.
Of all the questions I could ask the government, and maybe this is, I don't know, I ask what comes next in terms of what do you envision the future is, the next 10 years, the next 20 years? Because at this rate, there will be no entertainment.
You know, this is a generation of artists that are potentially just not going to be discovered and are being told by the government that they're not important.
To be told that you might have to consider changing career paths when you've already put in so much work, it's really demoralising.
And you can't lose that many artists.
If I was to ask the government to do something, I would ask them to provide meaningful financial support to freelancers.
I would ask the government to recognise the value of our labour.
Recognising our craft as viable and essential, and alongside that, more concrete financial support for artists and performers.
Something that is easy to apply for, tangible help, easy to access. Freelancers have to be supported, and this is just something that doesn't seem to have happened in a meaningful way yet.
Dig a little deeper and save an industry that has basically kept people sane through this pandemic.
Recognise that we are not to blame for this crisis, and without government intervention our industries will fail and redundancies will follow.
I'm not good with politics. I couldn't give them a whole list of things to do to help the arts in that way, but I just ask for some empathy, some realising that what they say has consequences to a lot of people.
The arts are being left behind with no justification or reason.
I think that the government's statement is shameful, and it's ignorant, and it's incredibly dangerous.
And dangerous is the right word. Because even if I look at it from the viewpoint of a consumer of the arts rather than a creator of them, the idea that in 5-10 years there'll be a whole network of could-be artists that were put off from pursuing their passions by what's happening to the sector right now, that idea terrifies me. You know, as it should everyone. You know, art reminds us why life is worth living. Its joy, even in its saddest moments. You know, and without that, I don't know what we as a collective society do with ourselves.
Art is important for me because it was through theatre and the arts that I really learned who I was, and in the cheesiest way possible, who I was supposed to be. I'm thankful that every day, no matter what other job I'm doing at the time, because I do have to work a full-time job as well that isn't always arts-based, I still get to wake up and do theatre in one way or another, whether it's full-blown production period or whether it's just checking emails and making plans about our company. Every day I'm able to think about and do the thing I love most in the world.
You know, and if it makes any difference at all, government, if there is one thing I can promise you artists will always have, it's one hell of a long-term memory. The way you respond now will be remembered, will be judged, and I can only hope that the art they make about you in a few years or in 50 looks favourably on this moment.
So what we're asking of you, government, what we're calling for, I guess, is to please stop overlooking us. We need to keep art alive. We need support from everyone, and we need funding from you.
We need a pledge from you that you will stand up for artists, whether they make art for thousands of people or just a few, whether they work in the National or at their community theatre.
We need some concrete monetary support made available to freelancers and independents.
And if you're an artist yourself, or someone that just enjoys it every now and then, we need your voices. We need you to stand up for those things that keep you entertained. We need you to stand with us and demand something tangible to keep us alive and keep us working, to keep us creating for you.
Because without it, in our eyes, we're going to struggle to keep art going for much longer. And a world without art won't be a very bright one, because art is pure happiness.
Art is for everyone, so we all have to fight to keep it.
Art is seeing other worlds.
Art is a viable career.
Art is life. It's in every form.
Art is freedom.
Art is people.
Art is artists.
Art is expressing yourself.
Art is life for me.
Art is a cultural human need.
Art is worth fighting for, and art is worth funding.